Hey everyone, and welcome back to Decoding AI, a Conversation. I'm Chanita, and I'm joined again by the fantastic Professor Duncan. Professor, thanks for being here.
A pleasure as always, Chanita.
So, last time, you left us on a real cliffhanger. You told us how AI finally got its two superpowers. First, there was the explosion of data from the internet, this massive library of examples for AI to learn from. And second, there was the incredible power of GPUs, those special computer chips from the world of video games that could process all that data super fast.
That's right. It was the combination that changed everything. The engine finally had its fuel and its horsepower.
Exactly. So my big question for today is, what happened when they turned the key? Now that AI had these superpowers, what were the first incredible things it could actually do? What were the moments that made the world sit up and say, whoa, this is really happening?
An excellent question, because that's precisely what happened. There were a couple of landmark events, before and after moments, that proved the AI revolution had truly begun. The first of these was the moment AI learned to see the world in a way we never thought possible.
Learned to see. Okay, that sounds huge. We humans see things without even trying. I can look at a picture and instantly know if it's a cat or a dog. Why is that so difficult for a computer?
It's a fascinating problem. For us, it's effortless, but a computer doesn't see a cat. It just sees a grid of pixels, thousands of tiny dots, each with a number representing its color. For years, researchers tried to write rules to help computers make sense of these numbers, but they weren't very good at it. A picture of a cat in shadow or from a weird angle would completely confuse them.
So, how did they crack it?
With a competition. There was a huge annual challenge called the ImageNet Large-Scale Visual Recognition Challenge. Think of it as the Olympics for computer vision. Researchers from all over the world would compete to see whose AI could correctly identify objects in millions of photos across 1,000 different categories. For years, the progress was slow and steady.
And then something changed?
Then in 2012, everything changed. A team from the University of Toronto entered a new type of model. It was a machine learning model, but a much bigger, more complex version with many more layers of connections, inspired by the structure of the human brain. This new approach was called deep learning.
So, deep learning is like machine learning on steroids.
That's a great way to put it. It's like having a brain with far more neurons and connections, allowing it to learn much more complex and subtle patterns. And this deep learning model, powered by those video game GPUs we talked about, didn't just win the ImageNet competition, it demolished it. Its accuracy was so much higher than anyone else that it shocked the entire field. It was the proof everyone was waiting for. This was the moment AI could finally see.
Wow. So this was the big bang moment for modern AI, showing it could perceive the world in a new way. And speaking of seeing things in a new way, this series is made possible by our sponsor, Kokae. Kokae is a fantastic mobile app that helps you see what's happening in the real world by finding live comedy and music events all across South Africa. And if you're enjoying our conversation, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the Kokae channel. It's the best way to make sure you see all our future episodes. Okay, Professor, so AI can see. That's mind-blowing. But what about thinking? I'm talking about strategy, creativity, intuition. What was the big test for that?
The ultimate test was a game. Not chess. Computers had already mastered chess by using brute force calculation. The grand challenge was a far older and more complex game called Go.
Go. I've heard of it, but what makes it so much more hard than chess?
The sheer number of possibilities. In a game of Go, there are more possible board positions than there are atoms in the known universe. You cannot win by just calculating all the moves. Top players talk about intuition, a feel for the shape of the game. For decades, it was considered a game that AI might never conquer because it seemed to require a human-like creativity.
So it became the next great man versus machine showdown?
It did. In 2016, a program called AlphaGo, developed by Google DeepMind and built using deep learning, challenged the world's greatest Go player, a legend named Lee Sedol. The whole world was watching, and most experts expected the human to win.
But he didn't, did he?
He did not. AlphaGo won the match 4 games to 1. But it wasn't just that it won, it was how it won. In the second game, AlphaGo made a move, now famously known as Move 37, that was so strange, so alien, that every human expert watching thought it was a mistake, a beginner's error. But minutes later, they realized the move was not a mistake. It was pure genius, a creative and beautiful move that secured the win and that no human player would ever have thought of.
So it wasn't just calculating, it was being creative.
Precisely. That was the moment we realized that these systems couldn't just recognize patterns, they could create new, genuinely profound strategies. It was a level of thinking that was both intelligent and creative.
Incredible. So before we finish, could you sum up why these two events, ImageNet and AlphaGo, were so important?
Of course, the 2012 ImageNet victory showed that deep learning could give AI superhuman abilities in pattern recognition, essentially learning to see. Then the 2016 AlphaGo match showed that the same techniques could be used to develop complex, creative strategies, essentially learning to think in a new way. These two moments back-to-back convinced the entire world that the AI revolution wasn't just a theory anymore. It was here.
Amazing. So AI can see and AI can strategize. But what happens when you try to get it to do something we all do every single day? Just have a normal conversation. What does it take for AI to learn to talk?
Now that is the next chapter of our story, and it leads directly to the tools that have taken the world by storm recently.
I cannot wait to get into that. Professor, thank you again for making these huge ideas so clear.
My pleasure, Chanita.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode of Decoding AI.